What's up, gamers? My name is Scyushi and we are back games more Trove. Finally! I know that this has been a long time coming, gamers. You guys have constantly been asking me to put together a new mod list. I did already actually have one earlier in the year, but then I already ended up adding some more mods to my list, and everybody just keeps hounding me about, like, when are you guys show us all your mods, show us all your mods. So, while we will end up going through some of the mods today, for the most part, this video is going to end up serving as just something for the future, where we're going to have links in the description that lead to both a Trovesaurus mod pack page and a Steam Workshop mod pack page. Now, before we progress, I want to let you guys know a couple things. The mods that I'm using, a lot of them might actually conflict. I'd also like to point out that in the description there is a sign up link. If you're new to Trove and you sign up with that link and then end up buying anything out of the store, I'll end up making a percentage of that. It doesn't increase the value of anything in the store. It's just an honest way that you guys can end up helping me out while supporting the game at the same time. I just had like a full list. I let you guys know, like, I've added a list of every mod that I currently use, toggle on or off, or have used in the past, and I'm just leaving on the wayside because I thought that it was like something cool, so I didn't remove it from my list or anything like that. Another thing to consider is that some mods might be exclusive to the Trovesaurus website, and some mods might be exclusive to the Steam Workshop website. Now, keep in mind that the Trovesaurus mods that I'm referring to, for those of you that use Steam, I actually don't use the Steam version of Glyph or of Trove. I actually just use the Glyph version that you can download from the Trove website. But here's the thing, is that comes with its own custom mod loader, or it doesn't really come with one. The people over at Trovesaurus made their own mod loader, right? So some mods might exclusively be uploaded to the Trovesaurus website, and then it's up to the modder to convert that over to the Steam Workshop and vice versa. But this isn't going to end up being a video where I'm instructing you guys how to use the Trove tools, because I do already have tutorials on that. Essentially, if you are using the same Glyph version that I am, you can get these mods through the Steam Workshop, and then you just navigate to your Trove folder in Steam, and then you just copy the mod file over to the Glyph live folder. I'll put, you know, all of that stuff in the description so that you guys actually know where to look and everything like that. Also, another thing to keep in mind is I have finally re-uploaded the Orb Boss Finder mod. So you guys have probably seen this countless times in my videos, where we'll be doing dungeons and there's this big orb expanding out from the location of a boss, and they're going to end up being various colors. Blue for just like a normal 3-star boss, red for Cursed Skull, purple I think for one that summons enemies or something like that. There are different color codes to them. As well as a long beam of light that just goes straight to the skybox, that is going to end up being a way that you can end up seeing the bosses and stuff like that through the floors of dungeons and junk. It's pretty ugly, but it helps. You guys might have to turn that off when you're doing shadow towers and stuff, because it is very taxing. Even I get a lot of slowdown in certain situations, and I have a god computer. But I wanted to let you guys know and be fully transparent that this is not a mod created by me. This was made by Mr. Because. The origin story of the mod was, I was doing a live stream and I was talking about how it was really nice that we ended up having the beam of light coming out of the bosses, but we should have actually had some form of a 3D projector to be able to see the bosses from the horizontal plane, because when U10 ended up coming out, a lot of those dungeons are very tedious to end up going through, because you're kind of underground and you don't really know where the bosses are left to right on the horizontal hemisphere, right? And because of that, you know, I was talking with Mr. Because during my stream, and he ended up pretty much just throwing that together for me very quick, very easy. He didn't know how to upload it himself. He had to have a friend do it for him. And then for the life of me, I don't know why the mod was actually taken off of the Trovesaurus and off of the Steam Workshop. I don't know. I'm just letting you guys know I take no credit for this mod. It wasn't something that I ended up making, but I have re-uploaded it just because it's probably one of the more useful mods, and a lot of the mods that I do use are in fact most of all focused on being very useful. There's a couple costume mods that I might add to the list if you guys really want to see it, but for the most part, all of the mods that I use are just going to end up being stuff that ends up changing the UI, changing the environment ever so slightly. Some of them mess with the visibility in certain biomes, like the Jurassic biome. It removes the fog and stuff like that, right? And some of the other mods as well might actually just not be available anymore. There's a couple mods that I'm using that might just not be available on either the Steam Workshop or Trovesaurus, but I myself am having a hard time tracking some of them down because the files might just not be on my computer anymore. But I do have ones that, you know, we finally have all of the shadow UI and everything like that. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that the shadow UI in particular, and a lot of the mods that I have in particular, they're all going to end up being separate rather than a full mod pack. You can't just install all of them, okay? Like I said before, some of them will end up conflicting. And even with the Shadow UI mod, thankfully, the modder was very, very capable in making it so that every single aspect of the Trove UI is actually a separate mod, which means that maybe you only want the HUD. So you can go ahead and do that. Maybe you only want to have the star bar. Maybe you only want to have the sigil without actually having the level right there. All of that stuff, that's the nice option about it, because for me, you know, there's certain things that I just don't like having the Shadow UI interact with. Like generally I found that it's usually very glitchy. Oh, well, usually, normally I have it off for the loot collector and stuff, just because there's certain things that I like better about the superior loot collector UI, but it seems like my mod loader is just being messy because I don't know, I guess because I just went through everything, right? But that's the thing, is there's going to be a lot of mods that will conflict. Another prime example is I have all of the mods, like, what I'm trying to say is that I have all of the mod options rather than just the ones that I use. So while I am currently using the Fey variant for the GEODE surface, I have included in both packs the mods that end up changing it to a desert or volcanic and stuff like that, just so that you can kind of pick and choose what type of a biome that you want. And in a lot of instances, I have this for like a bunch of other mods. Like I've added a couple different variants for shadow gear, stellar gear, crystal gear. The one that I use is just the customized VFX one from a million years ago, but there's actually a couple different options that I've given you guys in the list, at least on the Steam Workshop. I'm not exactly sure on the Trovesaurus one, but the big reason why I want to have this video is just because this is going to be the definitive video. This is the end, hopefully, of me talking about my mod packs and mods that I'm using, just because I can continuously add to these lists. So this video should, for the most part, stay relevant long into the future, you know what I mean? So just to give you guys a quick little rundown, you know, we've got quite a few different mods. Some of the mods that I'm using actually won't show up in this list, and then there's certain ones like the Better Invites Pro version 2. You have to actually manually download that because the default one is just going to be this one. And you know, a lot of these mods will end up coming with various perks, and I'm noticing, yeah, a lot of these are on when they actually shouldn't be. More recently, there's the Round Compass mod that I showed you guys, which, I mean, it visually shows this, but I don't actually seem to have any of that. I guess because one of the other mods must be conflicting or something like that. And then you might have also noticed just recently, I didn't know that there was actually an enhanced loading screen that quite literally changes the PC loading screen to end up having that 3D cube, which is very similar to the console versions of Trove. So I thought that was really neat that somebody ended up figuring that out. Also, more recently, you guys may have noticed the Goose Gonda that I ended up using in my Story of Gonda, the Untitled Goose Game video. I had like an abridged one, and then just the other day ended up uploading me actually playing through the Untitled Goose Game, and talked about like my Gonda story and stuff like that, but you guys don't care about that. I'm just trying to say that this is as recent as it can get, and I will do my best to keep the list as updated as possible so that you guys can always just have access to the entire mod list. However, again, certain mods just might not be available, guys. That's just the name of the game. Even the Orb Boss Finder mod wasn't available, but I decided to re-upload that myself just because, similar to the dot that I have in the middle of my screen for my reticle, that was actually a mod that also got taken down a long time ago. I don't know why. And then a friend of mine, Sweet Xeon, ended up re-uploading it just because at the time I was way too busy to end up uploading it myself. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Again, I'll have not only the links in the description, but also just some other information in the description as well that I didn't mention in the video. Have yourselves a great day. Sign on. Stay epic, gamers.